Jordan Ronan, who covers the Giants for ESPN, reported on his podcast for ESPN that the Giants' plans to trade up are pretty much dead. They currently sit with the 3rd overall pick. They had an opportunity to pick 1st overall, and they had it secured, but they decided to dick around. Sean, I can't do this. If the Giants leave this draft, and it seems increasingly more likely than people realize, Cam Ward's pick 1, Shedeur Sanders is pick 2. I can't go through this season with them not picking one of the 2 only viable quarterback options. There are no other options. It's dart throws or shitty players who are going to be mostly backups that we're talking ourselves into thinking that they could start or should start. Okay? There aren't any other options.
Yeah.
I can't do this shit. I can't. I saw this on Twitter today. I've been living in Wonderland off of this belief that they were being aggressive, trying to trade up. And maybe this is some ploy by Tennessee, that they're just trying to put out this info that it's dead.
Yeah.
That dipshit Joe Shane falls for it and panics. Oh, we'll give you next year's first. Maybe that's the case. But if they go through this draft cycle and there's no young player for them to turn to, I might need to pick a new team.
What? Oh,
I can't sit through another season of that shit. I can't. They had the 3rd overall pick and they can't get it. Do you every most draft classes? You have the 3rd overall pick. You can draft a fucking quarterback.
Yeah.
They can't get one. They can't.
Here, I'll ease you. Let me ease you up, okay? You're getting a little hot. All right, let me fix a quick problem for you here. You want Kirk?
I will reach
We'll give
over
you
this
Kirk.
table and I will strangle you.
Why
Do
don't you want
understand
Kirk?
that?
We'll
That's
give it-
the biggest
we'll
problem
give-
with
we'll-
all of this,
We'll give
Sean.
you Kirk on a discount.
Sean, that's the biggest problem with all of this is that the options are cooked. They're done. They're off the table. So we have to grab. Like, we have to desperately grab. So Kirk Cousins probably is being considered right now. Aaron Rodgers and Russell Wilson and Joe Flacco are the team's options. None of those guys are going to take them over the top. They're gap fillers. I can't go to 2020. The biggest problem with all this is that the window to success without having a quarterback is like 4 years.
Yeah.
They don't take a guy this year. I got to wait till the 2026 draft. Hope that they don't screw this up and they're actually picking 1st overall like they need to be doing. Hope that Malik Neighbors doesn't demand out. And then the 2026 season, I get to watch a rookie quarterback slop around and suck. And then his second season, you got to hope that they're kind of competitive, but it's more realistically year 4.
Then you're probably paying Neighbors a big lump sum by then.
That's forever from now.
Yeah.
I got to watch this shit again?
Yeah, you do. Here's what you could do. I'm starting to put together some names in my mind right now of you guys might have to
Tread lightly.
do a blockbuster trade for a starter type trade where you are giving away.
We tried to do that.
This year's 3 and maybe next year's first round for like
Joe Burrow.
No, like Kyler Murray, like Trevor Lawrence.
I actually wouldn't hate
somebody
Kyler.
Tua's like
Don't.
Hey, this is your
want
range
Tua.
of teams that still have an undecidedly good, not good or bad, but an undecidedly true future quarterback of their team that can perform in the NFL, but hasn't really shown it yet at their current spot. So if you decided to dump everything for Kyler, I think that's a win. Trevor Lawrence, get him a new spot. It'll be.
But that's not going to happen right now.
result.
That's going to happen in 2026, which I guess that you don't have to
What do you
wait
do this
for-
year? You punt? You just completely tank this year with nothing? You have to, because you started getting me at least a little bit fired up about finally the Giants make some type of play.
I think the way that I see if they're sitting at 3 and they called and pleaded with Tennessee and they said no, and then they called and pleaded with the Browns and they said no, and it goes Cam Ward, Shedeur Sanders 1 and 2. By the way, I'd be willing to bet that those rumors about Shedeur Sanders being an ass in his interviews, I'd be willing to bet that they started in New York. I'd be willing to bet that. I have no sourcing on that, but I'd be willing to bet that. They're probably praying that he slides.
Oh, they're trying to scare.
Yeah. Who else in the top 10 has any desire to create that smoke screen? It's the Giants are the ones who have their pants down right now, and they can't pick them up.
They sure do.
So I think that the move here, I would really rather that if we're going to do this crap, that, and I by the way, I don't hate what you're pitching.
I think
don't.
What about like a Derek Carr? Would you make
No.
No.
We would need a Matthew Stafford type of a trade when Stafford was traded from the Lions. I'm trying to think who else is like another big name quarterback who was traded and then went on to have success with his new destination.
Goodness.
Stafford's the best.
Yeah, Stafford's the most
option.
recent big one. Oh, why can't I?
But to continue my plan here to fix the Giants, if you do that in 2026, sign Slaps McGee, don't Joe Flacco. Seriously, if you don't draft a quarterback, Joe Flacco. That's it. I don't want anybody else. I don't want to pretend that this is going to work. I don't want to pretend and get my hopes up or anybody's hopes up and have to listen to the Giants fans who are trying to make themselves feel better about the situation by saying, did you see what Russ did? Did you see what Aaron Rodgers did this weekend? We're going to be so good next year. No, I need everybody to sit and wallow and suffer this year. And I want the third overall pick to be Abdul Carter. You take Abdul Carter, you have the craziest pass rush in the NFL because you got Dexter Lawrence, Kayvon Thibodeau, and then Abdul Carter. I would feel actually pretty good about myself if that ended up being the order of operations of taking Carter.
Do you guys still have Burns? Did I miss something?
Oh, we also have Brian Burns. Sorry, I'm completely forgetting this roster. I mean, who would have even remembered Brian Burns was on this team because they didn't do anything last year. They didn't do anything. It didn't matter that they traded for him. It was pointless. They didn't need to trade for him.
Yeah. What does that help for that team? You stop a team in the third quarter on third down with a big Brian Burns sack and they're up 21. Like that does nothing.
I mean, that's basically been that's been the whole defense. The whole defense is like, wow, what an insane play. And then you watch Daniel Jones donk around. That was what the whole bit was. But I think that's the approach. I think you maybe trade Kayvon, and then you draft Abdul Carter or Mason Graham. Actually, Mason Graham's not going to fit.
I like getting your temperature check, though, of your fandom here, because you have gone from, pragmatically trying to look at it to now, I don't care what you do. We're not in La La Land, though. So just give me the straight.
I've never been in La La Land.
You can't be in La.
There's too many fans in La La Land. They kept trying to rationalize Daniel Jones. They used to argue with me. They used to be like, "Oh, how dare you accuse him of being the reason why they suck when the offensive line's so bad?" Yeah, bullshit. He's awful. He's a moron.
Maybe you guys nab Purdy, and I know I joked about it last time, but I mean. Maybe you
Screw
do.
You.
I'm not trolling here. Come on.
No.
I'm trying to help you. We're in the war room here. I'm thinking of all quarterback options.
You named the two that make the most sense. Kyler Murray or Trevor Lawrence. Joe Burrow is a complete, utter long shot because maybe this offseason finishes really poorly and they don't have a very good season next year.
Sure.
I think that he could force his way out, but I don't.
What about if man?
Herbert ain't leaving.
Okay, I'm just checking it.
Herbert's not going anywhere.
We got to take calls in New York, Joe. We got to take calls and see what's going on.
They're going to be one of the best teams in the NFL next year. We got to be real with ourselves. They just signed Mekhi Becton.
God, you guys are in dire straits.
Someone pointed out, by the way, before we move on to Hack of the Week, somebody pointed out how insane it is that Mekhi Becton has to look up to talk to Joe Alt on this offensive line. That is insane.
The big ticket, one of the biggest humans the NFL has ever seen is now paired with
Joe.
I love the Joe Alt pick. Look, it's going to age like the finest of all fine wines. What a stud. That Chargers team, they're about to test patience this year because they've got the trenches, they've got the quarterback, they keep on adding pieces, they have the coach. They can't underachieve this year. It by no means can they underachieve, or else we're asking real questions. Not about Harbaugh, not about the offensive line, but about if man himself. That's where the questions are going to start coming.
If man will get 100 chances before. God, that was another guy that we almost had. Some asshole brought up this week that the Giants were almost drafted Josh Allen. I forget who it was.
Did you guys have a shot?
That was the Saquon draft.
Hey, you made the right pick. He's a 2,000 a year right. He's
proven
that he can rush for 2,000 yards.
No.
You made the right pick.
No.
You made the right pick.
No.
God.
Absolutely not.
That guy? Are you kidding me?
I would much rather have Josh Allen right now as our starting quarterback than,
I'm just
than
saying.
having Saquon. Well, we don't
at
even
that
have
time
him.
with
we don't even have Saquon.
I forgot about that. I'm sorry. Pardon me.
Asshole.